Hey, your boy got a haircut finally. You see that, man? I'm looking good, right? I'm looking kind of suave. I'm coming for your moms. Just kidding. I'm married. Yo, welcome back to the channel, boys and girls. In today's video, we unfortunately have to say goodbye to my Yoeleo R6 frame set. Now, by the time you watch this video, this bike will unfortunately be sold. So in today's video, guys, I just wanted to share my thoughts on it, just give you some of the highs, some of the things I love about it, and some of the things that are not so great about it. Oh, and if you are new to my channel, my name is Patrick Lino, and I am a bike racer here in Chicago, and I build bikes, I do product reviews, and I absolutely love making people feel uncomfortable with the type of jokes that I spew on this channel. So without further ado, let's begin. So first things first, the only reason why I'm selling this bike is because in order to continue to review new bike frames, wheels, components, etc., I have to always make sure that I have room in my fleet to actually be able to review new bikes. At the time of this video, I think I have about 5 bikes here that I built at home. So that's a lot of bikes, and especially now that I've moved over to disc brakes, I just don't really have the time and space for my rim brake bikes, unfortunately. But don't worry, I still have my LA Sprint. I don't think I'm going to be selling that anytime soon. So about my Yoeleo R6 frame set, like I said, this is actually the first bike that I ever built on the channel. In fact, it was this build and review that's what sort of inspired me to start this cycling channel and journey. And I've had a lot of fun with this bike here. I've ridden it about 10,000 kilometers or about 6,000 miles. And so it's been mostly a really good experience with it. Now, some of the things that I really like about the Yoeleo R6 frame as a complete bike, first we'll start with the frame. Now, the frame is pretty lightweight for what it is. It's still an Aero frame set at the end of the day. So it's not going to be some sort of 6.8 kilogram climbing machine, although I haven't had any problems climbing with this bike. But I've used it on a couple of practice crits, and yeah, it's very nimble, it's very stiff, and I never feel like I'm losing any sort of power or watts whenever I'm accelerating out of the corner. And yeah, I've taken it on a few climbs, even some climbs up to like 17, 18%. And yeah, there's definitely not any issues at all with the frame. There's no flex or anything like that. It's as stiff as you would want for an Aero performing bike. I do think that it is slightly too small for me, which is also another reason why I'm selling it. When I had it built up for me, I'm using a shorter stem now, but when I had it set up for me, I was using a 130 millimeter stem, and I probably could have used a 140 millimeter stem just because the reach was a little bit too small on it. So I would say for someone my height, I'm 6 feet tall, which is about 183 millimeters. I think this is like a size 56 maybe, but you probably should move up to a bigger frame set if you're around my height. Moving on to the wheels. The wheels have been very serviceable. I think these retail for about $700 USD at the time of this video. And yeah, 50 millimeter is definitely a sweet spot if you are someone who lives in windy conditions and you are concerned that you're going to be thrown around in the wind. I live in Chicago and it is pretty windy here, but I haven't had an issue with these or any wheels that have even been deeper than these. But yeah, I would say for $700, it's a pretty good deal. The braking performance is pretty good. I am running Swiss stop brake pads on these, and yeah, as long as it's not torrential downpour, which if it is, the braking performance is basically non-existent. But other than that, it does slow you down to a stop. I have noticed too though that on days when it's really hot and it's humid, there is a little bit of squeal. Now that could be either the brake pads or just the brake track on the wheels, but other than that, I can't really complain about them. And like I said, 10,000 kilometers in, no issues, and the brake track is still as good as they were when I first bought them. The only 2 gripes I have about the frame, they're small things, but I just do want to address them in case you are thinking about buying a Yoeleo R6 frame set from Yoeleo's website. The first thing is the saddle rail clamp. Now, if you've recently seen my Windspace T1500 build that I did, disc brake of course, you know that this style of saddle rail clamp I absolutely hate. It's very cumbersome. It almost feels like you need an extra set of hands to sort of set it up. But once it is set up and installed, there aren't any issues. It's very stable, no saddle slip, and no problems with the angle slipping down, any of that. But just know that it's going to be a pain to set it up that first time. And the other thing that's kind of annoying is the direct mount brake calipers. Now, these are direct mounted brakes. Now, yes, using direct mounted brakes, you do get a little bit better performance and more even performance versus a single bolted caliper, but just know that it doesn't leave a lot of room for wheel clearance, especially if you're using brand new brake pads. So the wheels that I have on here, these are Yoeleo C50 wheels. They're SAT wheels. They're about 700 bucks, but the width on these wheels are 25 millimeter. And that's sort of the sweet spot with these direct mounted calipers. I have used this frame with my Windspace Hyper, whatever those are, 65 millimeter wheels, and those are 26 millimeter width wheels. And I've noticed that the pad clearance on those, it's okay, but it's not ideal. There is a little bit of rubbing, and it does sort of affect the braking performance overall. So I would say, again, if you are looking to buy this bike, the sweet spot for wheels is 25 millimeter width wheels. And I've been using for tires, been using either 25 or 26 mil tires. That's okay, no issues there. Some of the components I have on here, I am running an Ultegra R8000 or 8010, whatever that is. That includes the direct mounted brakes. Yeah, performance on that is really, really good. I've used both a short cage and a long range derailleur on that. Not a single shift miss. Now, I have done videos in the past comparing my Yoeleo R6 to my Specialized LA Sprint, being that both of those are rim brake, and I've actually raced with both of those, and they both have their pros and cons. And I've mentioned this in the video in the past, but my Specialized LA Sprint, that feels more like a big body Mercedes, where once you get up to speed, you're just going, and it feels like you can just speed forever. However, if you're in a situation where you're constantly accelerating out of the corners, and again, this is more of my sort of anecdotal experience, but I do prefer the sort of accelerating characteristics of my Yoeleo R6 over my Specialized LA Sprint. Now, again, that could be the frame, that could be the wheels, that could be the rear hub, all those things play into mind. It could be my pedaling technique, who knows? But I do prefer the sort of racing characteristics of my Yoeleo over my LA Sprint. But at the end of the day, I do prefer my LA Sprint over this. But the problem is you probably won't be able to find one anywhere. But overall, guys, I think that's about it, I have to say, for this bike. For $1,000 frame set, you really can't go wrong. And if you are someone out there who plans to always be running a rim brake bike, I think it's a pretty good value for what Yoeleo has to offer. So if you are interested in purchasing this frame from Yoeleo's website, my advice would be to send them an email, make sure that they have the frame in stock, in the size and the color that you want, and just see what type of turnaround time that they have. And just know that they have been dealing with some delays at the time of this video. So make sure they're able to clarify that to you so that there aren't any disappointments when it comes to delivery times for your frame. So that about wraps up today's video, guys. And as always, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to leave them down below. And I will check you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching. Peace. It's so hard to say goodbye to... forget about it.